beast, and he's in the pit, Revelation chapter 9. He's going to come up out of the pit. Here we have Absalom, who's hanged in a tree, and then he's cast into a pit. This is really interesting. The word pit in the King James Bible is mentioned exactly 88 times. That's 8 times 11. Do you remember September 11th, 9/11? There's that number again. 9/11 is 99, which is a multiple of 33. After the two towers fell, they said, oh, we need a memorial. So they crafted these two great big giant beams of light. Actually, these two towers of light, they called it. Each tower was composed of individual lights. There were 44 lights in this one and 44 in this one. That's 88 lights all together. And they shone into the night sky, guess how long? Exactly 33 nights. They're going from here, down here, up into there. Are you getting my picture here? Okay, I think it was a memorial to the man of sin, the number 33, okay, who's going to come up out of the pit. The World Trade Towers themselves, steel construction begins in 1968. They're brought down to exactly 33 years later in 2001. We're kind of getting a picture of this number 33 here. And then we have Judges chapter 16 verse 23. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their god. Now I want to stop right here. This number 33, I've studied this in the scriptures and I think I'm right on this. This number 33 always has to do with a sacrifice of some kind. And I want you to think about this. Here's Christ on the cross, and He is our sacrifice for us. He is the sacrifice of Almighty God. In Judges chapter 16, verse 23, we have a fellow by the name of Samson. He has long hair. Okay? And the Philistines capture him, and the lords of the Philistines are going to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god. You see, God, knowing that a sacrifice must be made for sin, never one time wanted to offer a human sacrifice for sins. He gave His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. In the occult world, they say, oh, we got to kill people. The Mayan culture, you know, the whole 2012 thing that's based upon a group of people who were led by devils to believe that they had to kill numerous amounts of human beings and have human blood spilled everywhere in order to appease their gods. And the Philistines had it in their mind that they were going to sacrifice Samson. They were going to sacrifice Samson unto their gods. Now this number 33, think of the two towers that were standing for 33 years and the number of people that were sacrificed and killed on September 11th, 2001. It kind of makes sense now. We dealt with this here a few weeks ago. And back then, I just wasn't sure exactly what it was all about. There was a race car driver by the name of Dan Weldon who was killed. He was exactly 33 years old. He was on lap 11 of this race, and he was in car number 77. We talked all about that. That's 7 times 11. So here these numbers keep popping up, and I'm going, who's Dan Weldon? Well, a lot of people know who he is. I don't. 33 years old, and a sacrifice was made on lap 11 in car 77. By the way, on 9/11, you have all these 11s and 33s. You have 77s too. The Pentagon was 77 feet tall, Flight 77 flying into the Pentagon. I mean, it's all there. But it's a number for sacrifice. John F. Kennedy was killed on November the 22nd. That is 11/22. That's 33. Dallas is almost, not quite, almost to the 33rd parallel. Pope John Paul I, we've covered this before. He was 66 years old. 33 times 2. He became Pope 33 days later. He's dead. Rock singer Bon Scott of AC/DC. Boy, there's a Satan worshiper there. 33 years old when he dies. David Koresh even named himself after who he thought Jesus. He thought he was the coming of Jesus, is who he thought he was. 33 years old when he dies in the flames at Waco, which is right close to Highway 77. Timothy McVeigh, Alfred P. Murrah Building, Okay, it had 33 columns in it, close to Highway 77, Timothy McVeigh. They waited until he became 33. They stayed his execution until he became 33, and then they crucified him. Muhammad Atta, 33 years old. He flies, flight 11 into the gigantic number 11, and the sacrifice was made. Virginia Tech, a crazed gunman. Nobody can figure out what's going on. I believe that there was a sacrifice to the gods. I believe the gods were in this guy's life. The devils, fallen angels, whatever you want to call them. That's who was running the show here, because here we have this guy going into Virginia Tech, killing 32 people, and then himself. You remember Ben-Hadad and the kings of Syria? Okay? A sacrifice was made. That's 33. We even have the symbolic death and regeneration of 33 miners in Chile. Okay, you remember that? 33 miners down in a pit, trapped. They need to be released. And so they're brought out by a capsule that's called the Phoenix. The Phoenix is an occult symbol for resurrection. The Phoenix is killed in the flames. Remember David Koresh, Muhammad Atta, the 3,000 on 9/11. It's always got to be this big fire here. Even guns fire. Okay, you have all this fire associated with this death. And Dan Weldon, 33 years old, fiery crash. Okay, his car caught on fire. He burned to death in there. Okay, so anyway, we have the symbol of the Phoenix. The Phoenix is a picture of the Antichrist. He is destroyed in fire. Right now the beast is in the pit. He's in hell. He's in flames. He is going to be rejuvenated, resurrected, revived, born again. You see, just because certain groups use the phrase born again, that doesn't mean born again in the biblical sense. Okay? This Phoenix represents the rise of the Antichrist in the last days. So 33 miners come back up out of the pit by way of the Phoenix capsule. By the way, Phoenix, Arizona. It's on the 33rd parallel. If you look on the 33rd parallel, you'll see Alamogordo, New Mexico. The White Sands, the Trinity site where the first atomic bomb was exploded. You go to Nagasaki, Japan. 33rd parallel. Los Angeles is on the 33rd too. We're going to talk about Los Angeles in a little bit and something that happened on 11/11/11. Babylon, where the Tower of Babel was built, it's on the 33rd parallel. It's all interesting, okay? But it all points to a sacrifice. A sacrifice being made so that something can be born again. Are you getting the picture here? Okay? They were going to kill Samson, who had long hair. Okay? He had hair like a woman. They were going to kill him and offer him up for a sacrifice. And so all of these people have died with this number 33 attached to it. Why? Because the sacrifice has to be made for one thing. And that is a character the Bible refers to as the beast. Now, in the New Testament of the King James Bible, the phrase, the beast, exact phrase, the beast in the New Testament, exactly 33 times in the New Testament. Let me show you the first occurrence. There's one occurrence in the book of Acts. All of the rest of them are in the book of Revelation, and we know who it's talking about. Look at the first occurrence in the book of Acts of the word the beast. Acts chapter 28, verse 4. And when the barbarians saw the venomous beast hang on his hand, they said, you see, what happened was Paul was throwing wood into a fire, and a snake jumped out of the fire and latched on his hand. Okay? But it didn't kill him. You know why? Because Jesus had promised that he would have power over serpents. And if he was bit by a serpent, that no harm would come to him. And so here it is, in live form, a beast comes out of the fire, latches on Paul's hand. Notice what happened. And they said among themselves, no doubt this man is a murderer, whom though he hath escaped the sea, yet vengeance suffereth not to live. And he, Paul, shook off the beast into the fire. and felt no harm. Do you know the last place the word the beast is, shows up? He's thrown into the lake of fire. I absolutely love this. So, this number 33 points to the beast. Okay, it is a number associated with the beast. There are others. It is a number associated with the beast. And so, when you see the Masonic logo, Ordo ab chaos, you know what that means? Order out of chaos. Remember the number 11 pointed to chaos. But you know what the word chaos really means? Chaos is a Greek word. You know what it means? It means the pit. Masons teach that order is going to come out of the pit. So this is why they use, there's a crown here, and this is why they use the number 33. It's not pointing to Jesus on the cross. It's pointing to the one who's going to come out of the chaos, the one who's going to rise up out of the pit. In the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, there are 33 degrees. In other words, Masons say, and I want you to notice that this 33 here is usually associated with illumination. In the Scottish Rite logo, you have a triangle with the number 33 in it, and it's got these rays of light coming out of it. It's associated with illumination or enlightenment. Remember, the 33rd word that the serpent spoke to Eve in Genesis chapter 3 was eyes. And your eyes are going to be open. You're going to have enlightenment. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry teaches this, that when you start out here, you're down low, you're down in a pit, okay, and you want to become a Mason so you can climb up the 33 degrees and have your eyes open, so you have illumination. That's the 33 degrees, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. When you start out low in Freemasonry, you're way down here, you're down in a pit, in darkness, in a grave. The first 3 degrees, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. The first 3 degrees you go through in the Scottish Rite of, or actually probably all rites, it's called the Blue Lodge. And once you accomplish the 3rd degree, you become what's called a Master Mason. But you have to go through this little scenario. You have to go through this little ritual. You have to be slain, okay, and then you have to be born again. It's teaching the doctrine of what the Bible refers to as is what Masons refer to as the story of Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff is not Hiram Abiff out of the Bible. Hiram Abiff is the Antichrist who was slain and is going to rise again out of the pit one of these days. But here's the story. Hiram Abiff was murdered. Now, get this. You don't like this. We mentioned JFK, okay, and the number 33. Hiram Abiff was struck one time in the neck. He was struck the 2nd time in the breast, and the 3rd time in the head. Okay? John F. Kennedy, the wounds that we have, the evidence that we have, the wounds that we have, was a bullet went through JFK's neck, exited Connolly's breast, and the 3rd wound was in his head. And it was on 11/22. That's Hiram Abiff. Okay? So Hiram is dead, and he's buried, and he's hidden. He's occulted. His symbol is the skull. Think of Christ on the cross, 33 years old, and where is he? Golgotha, the place of the skull. So here is the symbol of the skull, and a twig of what Masons call acacia was placed over his tomb. You know what acacia is? It's thorns. Okay, it's thorns. It's a thorn tree. What was it on Jesus' head? It was a crown, as a king wears. It was a crown of thorns. Thorns are always representative of the curse of sin in the Bible. And here's Jesus. He has that crown on his head when he's 33 years old. The word acacia is not in the Scriptures. It's called the shittim tree. Okay? Shittim. That's the tree that it's referred to in the Scripture. Did you know the Ark of the Covenant was made out of shittim wood? And so was everything that was made out of wood. The sanctuary, the